It begins like a hunting mission. But the target is not a magical beast, a criminal or an enemy soldier. The target is Kim Tae-ju, the eldest son of General Kim Won-bong. And the strangest part is that the soldiers hunting him are men of the empire. They are not outsiders. They are not enemies of his family. They serve the same system that his father belongs to. Yet here they are, chasing the general's own son through the wilderness like he is some kind of monster that needs to be erased. The scene makes it clear that this is not a misunderstanding or a battlefield accident. The soldiers already know who he is. Their expressions do not carry hesitation. They have been given an order, and in the empire, an order from someone as high as General Kim is treated like law. Tae-ju is not being captured for trial. He is being removed quietly, far away from witnesses. That kind of execution says a lot about the world itself. Reputation matters more than blood, and weakness is treated as a stain that powerful families can simply cut away. Tae-ju's entire existence has been reduced to a problem that needs to disappear before it embarrasses the people around him any further. The reason is painfully simple. Kim Tae-ju was born without mana. In this world, mana is not just a useful talent. It is status. It is worth, it is proof that someone belongs among the strong. Children with mana can awaken, train, fight monsters and rise through society. But people without mana are treated as defective from the moment they are born. And for a family like the Kims, a family built on military rank, influence and power, having a Mona Lisa's son is not merely disappointing. It is humiliation. So Tae-ju's own family decided that the disgrace needed to disappear. Lieutenant Jian is the one assigned to finish the job. When he faces Tae-ju, he does not even look worried. There is no heroic duel, no desperate exchange of blows, and no hidden strength waiting to burst out. TJ is weak, he cannot use mana. He cannot defend himself properly. He is exactly what everyone has called him all his life. A reject. That is why Jang's attitude is so casual. He does not see TJ as a real opponent. To him, the general's son is only a task that needs to be completed. The difference between them is supposed to be absolute. A trained imperial soldier with mana against a young man who has been treated as broken since birth. So Zhang steps forward and drives his sword straight through Tae-ju's stomach. The blade tears through him, and before Tae-ju can even process the pain, Zhang throws him off the cliff. The drop is so high that survival should be impossible. From above, his body is swallowed by the cliffside darkness. The soldiers do not even bother chasing immediately, because there is no need. A fall like that should turn a human body into nothing but remains. Even if the stab wound had somehow missed every vital point, the impact below should have finished what the sword started. TJ's body vanishes into the darkness below, and to the soldiers the mission is basically over. Later that night, they return to confirm the corpse. They search the bottom of the cliff, expecting to find a broken body and close the matter for good. But after hours of searching, they finally discover him, and the sight freezes every soldier in place. Tae-ju is alive. He has a massive wound in his stomach. He fell from a height that should have shattered every bone in his body. He should be dead, or at the very least crawling in agony. Instead, he is sitting calmly on the ground. Then a strange green aura begins to rise from his body. It is not the clean, bright energy people expect from awakeners. This aura feels poisonous, heavy and unnatural. The soldiers do not understand it. Because it does not belong to the power system. They know they are looking at Kai for the first time. But to them, it only looks like the dead boy has returned as something cursed. One soldier panics first. He cannot understand what he is looking at. And instead of thinking, he rushes forward with his weapon raised. But TJ sees the attack. He moves. He avoids the strike and punches the soldier with enough force to drop him immediately. The entire platoon is stunned. This is not the powerless boy they threw off the cliff. This is not the general's useless son. Something has changed. The soldiers draw their swords. Teacher reaches into his pocket and pulls out 3 coins. He flicks them. The coins shoot forward like bullets, piercing 3 skulls at once. The soldiers who came to clean up a helpless victim suddenly become the ones being hunted. TJ moves through them with cold precision, using coins and martial movements that should not exist in a world ruled by mana. Every movement is efficient. He is not swinging wildly out of anger, and he is not relying on blind luck. His body is still damaged, but the knowledge inside him tells him where to step, where to strike, and how to turn even a coin into a killing weapon. The soldiers begin to realize too late that the person in front of them is no longer the same boy. The scene is also important because teacher does not shout, explain, or beg for them to understand. He lets the bodies explain everything. The same soldiers who trusted their ranks and weapons are now learning that there are powers outside mana, and those powers can kill just as cleanly. The last soldier tries to rely on a gun. He aims at Taiju's blind spot and fires. Taiju dodges the bullet and calls him slow. Then he grabs Lieutenant Chang by the neck. The same man who stabbed him, mocked him, and threw him away like trash now hangs helplessly in Taiju's grasp. With a faint smile, Taiju ends the last enemy without taking a single visible wound. So the question is obvious. What happened to Kim Taiju? How did someone born without mana survive execution in return with a completely different kind of power? The answer lies in the moment he was falling. As Taiju dropped from the cliff, his mind did not simply fade into death. Instead, his consciousness was pulled into another realm, another world entirely, where he met an old man. The transition is not gentle. One moment he is falling toward death, and the next he is standing inside a completely unfamiliar mental space. His body is still dying in the real world, but his mind is forced to confront a presence so overwhelming that it feels more dangerous than the cliff itself. That old man was Tangun Arca. In his own world, Tangun Arca was known as the Supreme Poison Demon, a terrifying martial artist who had reached the peak of Muram through poison arts, hidden weapons, and overwhelming internal energy. He was not a gentle master. He was not a kind teacher waiting for a worthy disciple. He was a monster who crushed everything in his path and became feared by the entire world. When the old man and TJ's minds touched, their memories flowed into each other. TJ sees a lifetime of battles, assassinations, poison, sex, hidden weapons, and martial arts that reach the boundary of myth. Tangun AK sees Earth, the Empire, mana, military ranks, modern cities, and the humiliating life of a boy born powerless in a world that only respects magical talent. Neither of them needs a long explanation. The truth passes between them through memory. That was when they realized the truth. They were the same person. 2 versions of one soul born in different universes. One had been raised in a world of martial arts and poison, where he climbed to the top through brutality and genius. The other had been born in a magic empire, labeled defective because he had no mana, then betrayed by his own blood. Their lives were different, but their essence was the same. Tangun Arca understood what had happened to his younger self. Taiju had been discarded because his world did not recognize the kind of power he could wield. So the old man gave him everything he could. The theory of Kai, the method of converting poison into internal energy, the foundation of poison martial arts, and the hidden weapon techniques that once made him a nightmare. He does not give Taiju a gentle beginner lesson. Instead, he burns an entire lifetime of experience into him. The training methods, the killing intent, the instinct to read poison, the way to circulate energy through broken meridians, and the cold judgment needed to survive enemies stronger than himself, all settle inside Taiju like inherited scars. Then Taiju was sent back into his broken body. When he woke up beneath the cliff, the first thing he did was not cry, run, or beg. He grabbed a poisonous plant and ate it. For an ordinary person, that would have been suicide. For Taiju, it became fuel. The plant's toxin spreads through his body. But instead of letting it destroy him, Taiju follows the breathing method from Tangun case memories. The pain should be unbearable. His wound is still open, his body is still damaged from the fall. And now poison is burning through him as well. Yet Tijo keeps meditating because he understands that if he fails to control this first poison, the second life he was given will end before it begins. He gathers the poison, compresses it, guides it through his circulation, and forces it to become part of him. It is crude, painful, and dangerous. But it proves one thing: this world may reject him. Yet poison will not. He sat down, meditated, circulated the poison through his body, and refined it into internal energy. The green aura surrounding him was not mana. It was the beginning of a new path, a power system that the people of Earth did not understand. That is why the soldiers found him alive. That is why he killed them so easily. And after the last body fell, Ju's goal became clear. Anyone who had a hand in his death would eventually face him. Back at the base, the surviving report reaches the general's side. A soldier explains that Lieutenant Jiang's unit was completely wiped out and that Ju's body could not be found. General Kim is irritated, but he still does not believe Tujeo can survive for long. After all, in this world, people without mana are already doomed. Even the air can poison them over time. A mana reject surviving alone should be impossible. The general assumes his son will die eventually. To him, Ju's disappearance is inconvenient but not frightening. Imona rejects surviving alone in the wild sounds impossible. Even if he somehow escaped the soldiers, he should have no money, no protection, no allies, and no future. That arrogance becomes the first mistake of everyone who underestimates him. But he is wrong. A few days later, Tiju arrives at Mount Juri's magical beast border zone. Standing above the free city of Juri, the sight is impressive. From the mountain path, the entire city can be seen below, and Tiju takes in the view quietly. A talkative porter bus beside him notices that he must be new here and begins explaining the city's history. Gori used to be a small city in Korea, but after the empire expanded, the city became strategically important because of Mount Gori. The mountain was overrun with magical beasts that needed constant extermination. Rather than control the area strictly, the emperor made Jeuri a free city. That decision changed everything. Taxes on magical beast products became low. Hunters and awakeners flooded in. The legal restrictions became loose. Crime was tolerated as long as the monster economy kept moving. In other words, Yuri became rich, dangerous, and almost lawless. The boss wants TJO that criminals, hunters, smugglers, and strange people all gather here. Tijuana finds them noisy, but he also understands the value of the warning. Yuri is exactly what he needs. It is a city where someone can vanish if they know how to stay quiet. In a normal imperial city, Ju's identity would become a chain around his neck. In Guri, everyone is too busy chasing profit, hiding crimes, or preparing for raids to care about a new porter. With no Mona mark, that anonymity becomes his shield. His family is powerful, but power depends on information. If nobody reports him, nobody follows him. If he looks like a low-level worker, then hunters will ignore him, criminals will underestimate him, and merchants will not realize what he is building until it is too late after surviving the assassination. TJU cut off his old contacts and disappeared. He needed a place where his family's influence would be weaker, a place where he could gather money and power without being watched too closely. The free city is perfect for that. Even better, Mount Juri is filled with poisonous herbs, insects, and magical beasts. For Tiju, poison is not danger. Every poisonous herb is a possible cultivation pill. Every venomous beast is a training resource. Every insect that scares Awakener is a clue to a new medicine. This reverse perspective separates TGA from every other hunter on the mountain. Awakener want mana stone skins, meat, and standard monster materials. TGA wants the things they avoid touching. The more dangerous the toxin, the more valuable it becomes in his hands. While other hunters see threats, TJ sees ingredients, money, and power waiting to be refined. It is cultivation material. He starts working as a porter because it gives him a reason to enter hunting grounds. Without standing out, he can carry supplies, observe awakeners gather materials, and quietly train his martial arts. During one of these jobs, the boss asks him who he thinks is the strongest person in the party. The answer is Lee Hanul, a regular rank awakener. She is young, but her rank places her above the first Lieutenant TJO, killed earlier by ordinary standards. She should be reliable, but suddenly something goes wrong. Lee Hanul collapses. The party panics when they realize she has been bitten by a mutant three-striped mosquito. A red-haired mage immediately reacts. She gathers mana into her staff and fires a large fireball, blowing the insect apart in a burst of flames. Tisha watches the reaction and wonders why everyone is so terrified of a mosquito. The boss explains. The mutant three-striped mosquito has a venom that temporarily disrupts mana. Some awakeners faint instantly after being bitten, in a dangerous zone that means death. Entire hunting parties have been wiped out because one important member lost mana. At the wrong moment, the fear is not exaggerated. A tank without mana cannot hold a barrier. A mage without mana cannot cast a spell. A swordsman who suddenly loses reinforcement becomes ordinary flesh in front of magical beasts. That is why the party reacts as if a boss monster has appeared. In a dungeon-like environment, losing mana is the same as losing identity. The rank that protects an awakener can vanish from one bite. And once that happens, the mountain does not care how famous or talented they were a moment earlier. One tiny mosquito can destroy the balance of an entire party before the real monsters even arrive. That detail catches Ju's attention. In Tangunik's memories, there is a poison that behaves in a similar way, scattering internal energy and disturbing circulation. Tijun quietly uses poison spirit art to examine Lee Hanul's condition, and the result intrigues him. He does not touch her openly or announce what he is doing. He only observes the flow inside her body. To the others, she is a collapsed awakener. To teacher, she is evidence that Earth's mana and Murum's internal energy can be disrupted in similar ways. That single realization is worth more than the whole porter job. The mosquito's poison is not random. It has a structure, and if it has a structure, he can study if one of the hunters points out that this area should not have mutant mosquitoes. That means the situation may be abnormal, so the team leader chooses to retreat. Then something rustles in the tall grass. Everyone prepares for battle, only to relax when a long-tailed rabbit appears. It is a harmless magical beast at the bottom of the food chain, known more for reproducing quickly than for fighting. The party assumes they were frightened for nothing, but the relief lasts only a moment. Before anyone understands what is happening, the team leader and another hunter are beheaded. OSCs burst from the grass with brutal roars. The peaceful image disappears instantly. The rabbit was only a distraction, or perhaps a sign that the forest had already been disturbed. The party's formation breaks as soon as blood hits the ground. Hunters who looked confident a moment ago now shout over each other, trying to understand where the attack came from. The old boss understands the danger faster than the others, because porters live by reading the mood of hunters. When professional fighters panic, people carrying luggage have even less chance. That is why TJ is sending him away is not just kindness. It is the only way to keep the man from being crushed. In the confusion, the party falls into chaos. The red-haired mage moves first, throwing spells to hold the monsters back. The old porter boss turns to Tiju, but Tiju tells him to run while carrying the unconscious Lee Hanul. The boss argues that porters like them cannot contribute in a fight, but Tiju has already decided to stay. He says he will only provide a little help. That little help is more than anyone realizes. As the boss runs, T-Joy studies the ORC's movement. Something about them feels strange. They are not attacking randomly. Their timing and direction are too synchronized, almost as if something is guiding them. This is not the behavior of dumb beasts chasing the closest prey. The ORCs cut off routes, strike at weak points, and use the grass for cover. Tijo does not know yet who or what caused this abnormal movement, but his instincts tell him that Marjorie is changing in ways the hunters do not understand. The mage keeps burning the monsters, but one ORC slips toward Teju. She notices and fires another spell, killing it before it can reach him. TJ covers his nose from the smell of burned flesh, but as the smoke clears, he notices something behind the mage. A blade is swinging toward her neck. He shouts for her to duck. She cannot react in time, so Tijo moves at the same time. Far away from Earth, Tangun Arca rests in the realm he reached after enlightenment. He had once believed that reaching a higher plane would be the ultimate reward. Instead, the celestial realm feels like a strange retirement home, filled with arrogant old monsters who have lost all common sense. To him, it is a fancy asylum. The old masters, sect founders, and immortals all act like lunatics. Tangun Arca begins to wonder whether wasting his life chasing enlightenment was truly worth it. Still, the soul sharing with Tijo was interesting. Through Tijo's memories, he learned about Earth technology, Mona, and a completely different world. Those memories helped him reach enlightenment. Because of that, he wonders how his younger counterpart is doing. TJ and Tangun Arca are the same soul shaped by different environments. One became feared because his world allowed him to grow. The other was despised because his world misunderstood him. Tangun Arca hopes his knowledge can give TJ the chance to change his fate. But before he can think too deeply, the Sword Immortal interrupts him. The Immortal is annoyed that Tangun Arca mocks swordsmanship despite being a hidden weapon specialist, and the two old monsters immediately start bickering and fighting like children with godlike power. Back on Earth, the mage is moments away from death. Tisha knocks her unconscious first, preventing her from seeing what comes next. Then he launches himself into the battlefield. He uses the flying dagger dagger burst. The technique is designed for crowded battlefields. It sacrifices the focused penetration of a single strike and turns many small projectiles into a spreading storm. Against enemies like ordinary ORC, that is more than enough. The coins whistle through the air, ricochet from bone, and turn the battlefield into a demonstration of martial arts that this world has never seen. A storm of coins rains across the battlefield. The projectiles do not look impressive, but each one carries internal energy and hidden weapon technique from Urim. They strike the ORCs with terrifying precision, bouncing through skulls and dropping the monsters one after another. The entire orc group is wiped out. JGO Lansing is mildly surprised at how easily the technique works against these lower-level monsters. But he immediately understands the danger of being seen. If word spreads that an unmarked porter killed a whole group of ORCs, everyone will investigate him. The Free City, the military, the committee, and possibly his father would all start asking questions. And Tijo has no intention of being dragged back into someone else's control. His new strength is still incomplete. His identity is dangerous. His family believes he should be dead. Until he can protect himself properly, secrecy is worth more than fame. This becomes one of his main rules in Gori. He will act when necessary, but he will not become a public hero. He knows how quickly gratitude can turn into attention, and attention can turn into surveillance. For now, surviving in the shadows is smarter than standing under a spotlight. So before the mage wakes up, Tujeo leaves the scene. He also cleans up after himself, because hidden weapons are expensive. Coins, knives, darts and needles may be small, but they cost money, and retrieving them after every fight is annoying. Tangun Arca had techniques for recovering hidden weapons, but Tijo cannot use them properly until he reaches a higher level. While looking for a missing coin, he finds it stuck in a tree. Then a mosquito FLIs by JGOE catches it in his hand. Since this area should not have mutant 3-striped mosquitoes, this is likely the one that bit Lee Hanel. He examines the insect and confirms his suspicion. Its venom temporarily scatters energy and disrupts mana circulation, just like a poison from Urim. That means an antidote is possible. To confirm the composition, Cheijiri does the simplest and most insane thing. From a normal person's perspective, there are many safer ways to test venom. From Tang and AK's perspective, the fastest way to understand a poison is to place it inside the body, feel how it spreads, and force it to reveal its nature through circulation. Teju has inherited that terrifying logic. The mosquito vanishes down his throat, as if it were nothing more than a snack. It is disgusting, but the result is immediate. The venom structure becomes clearer inside him than it ever could from outside observation. Teju gains confirmation, and with confirmation comes the smell of money. He eats the mosquito after tasting and absorbing the venom. He realizes the poison is almost identical to the one in Tangguanai. Case memory if he can find similar herbs in this world. He can create a cure. That cure would make him rich. But before he can return to test his theory, something heavy moves nearby. An elite ORC steps into view. This monster should not exist in this area. It is massive violent, and unlike the others it can speak. Elite monsters are the awakeners of magical beasts, creatures that have gained power beyond their normal species. The ORC roars about killing humans and swings its weapon. Toji dodges. The strike destroys the ground, with enough force to make him reassess the situation. The monster's power is comparable to an expert rank beast. Tijo doubts his coins can pierce its skin, but he tests it anyway. Testing the enemy is not pointless. Even when the attack fails, the depth of the dent, the reaction of the skin, and the sound of impact all tell him something. Tangguanai's experience teaches him to read a failed strike as information rather than frustration. The result is immediate proof of the gap. Hidden weapons depend on speed, accuracy, and concentrated force, but the monster's body is simply too tough. The coins hit the target, yet the damage does not follow. Cheijiri understands that technique alone cannot always overcome raw durability. He uses swift strike. 3 coins shoot forward, but they stop against the ORC's body without dealing serious damage. His hidden weapon attack fails. His wide airy technique would be even worse because it spreads out power that leaves blood seal poison palm. But using it directly means getting close to a monster that can crush him with one swing. For a moment, Teju hesitates. It is not cowardice, but it is still hesitation. He measures the risk, the wound he might take, and the chance that he might lose if he closes the distance. That calculation is natural, but to the Supreme Poison Demon's memory, it feels almost shameful. A martial artist cannot win. If he starts the fight by doubting his own hand, then he realizes what he is doing. He has become prideful after killing weak enemies, but now that he is facing a real obstacle, doubt has appeared. Tangguanai would never allow that. The path of the Supreme Poison Demon is not built on fear. So Teju steps forward. He unleashes Blood Seal Poison Palm. The elite ORC raises its giant axe and blocks. Steel clashes against Tiger's bare hand, and the impact creates a violent explosion. The axe is damaged, but Teju is forced to one knee. He failed to wound the ORC. Still, he prepares to continue attacking until it falls. Then the battlefield changes. A blade flashes. In the next instant, the elite ORC is sliced into countless pieces. Teju does not even fully see the attack. The monster itself seems confused before its body falls apart. A master rank awakener has arrived. The difference is terrifying. TJ struggled to damage the elite orc, but this man erased it before the monster even understood it had been cut. That one exchange teaches Teju more clearly than any lecture that Earth's awakener are not to be underestimated. The man asks Teju whether he killed the orc. His voice is calm, but his eyes are cold enough to make Teju cautious. This is Li Young Hak, also known as the Vigilante Captain. He is a standing committee member of the Free City, the Guild Master of Nogadan and a Master Rank Awakener. Responsible for security, his title sounds official, but his presence feels closer to that of a warlord. In a city where law is flexible, someone like Li does not merely enforce rules. He decides what rules matter in the moment. That is why everyone nearby lowers their voice when he appears in jury. He is not just strong, he is authority. Jae-jeori understands that one wrong word could expose him. Before he can answer, the old porter boss returns. The man is more worried about the luggage than Ju's life, but his arrival helps create a cover story. TJ explains that the mage exhausted her mana after killing the ORC and passed out. He claims he was only left alone with the elite monster afterward. The young HAK does not fully believe him. He can tell something is unusual. But his subordinates arrive. The survivors are secured and cleanup teams are called for now. He chooses to move on before leaving. Lee warns Tiju not to cause trouble in the city after he is gone. The porter boss looks deeply relieved. He tells Teju never to offend that man. The young HAK is corrupt, violent, and powerful enough to make a person's life in Guri impossible. Teju realizes that he has been lucky. He has gained power, but he is still far from invincible. If the young HAK had been hostile, Teju might not have survived. That day becomes a turning point. Before this, Taiju's victories had come against people and monsters. He could eventually overpower. The young HAK shows him a different wall. There are people in this world who can kill high-level beasts, like cutting paper. If Teju wants real independence, he cannot remain satisfied with borrowed memories and partial training. Teju decides to train more seriously. The free city of Guri has nearly perfect infrastructure, but proper hospitals are rare. No respectable doctor wants to work in a place where crime is common and law is flexible. Most clinics are suspicious. So pharmacies become extremely important. Drugstores are trusted more than shady hospitals. Pharmacists can write prescriptions, sell approved drugs, and make huge profits. That gives Teacher his first real business idea. He will sell the antidote for the mutant three-striped mosquito. The idea is not just about money. It also gives him a legal identity. In Guri, a porter can disappear. But a medicine maker with a product everyone needs can build influence. If Teacher cannot rely on family, rank, or mana, then he will create value that even powerful people cannot ignore. For the past month, his life has been exhausting. During the day, he works as a porter. In his spare time, he gathers herbs. At night, he trains in martial arts and poison circulation. Preparing the antidote requires precise internal energy control. So, Teju pushes himself until he reaches the third star of his poison art. Now, he has power and he has a product. He enters back drugstore and asks to see the owner. The clerk assumes he wants to buy something, but Ju explains that he is a seller. The owner, Baek Hong-pao, overhears him. Baek is not only the CEO of the drugstore, but also the director of an orphanage. He is used to scammers. Every day, someone appears claiming to have a miracle drug, a secret potion, or a rare cure. So when TJ says he has homemade medicine, Baek immediately rejects him and tells him to go to the labor market if he needs money. Then TJ says the words that make him pause. Baek Hong-pao has heard many ridiculous claims, but this one touches a wound every hunter in Guri understands. The mosquito problem is not theoretical. It kills people, ruins raids, and forces teams to spend money on protective gear. If an actual antidote exists, it changes the city's economy overnight. It is an antidote for the mutant three-striped mosquito. Baek thinks he misheard. Teju clarifies that the medicine can be taken orally before entering the mountain and that its effects last about 10 hours. Instead of convincing Baek, the explanation makes him more suspicious. No company in the empire has managed to make a proper cure for mosquito venom. A random newcomer claiming to have solved it sounds absurd. TJ does not argue that confidence is what bothers Baek the most. Scammers usually talk too much. They beg, pressure, exaggerate, and try to close the deal immediately. TJ does none of that. He leaves samples as if the medicine will speak for itself, then walks away without looking desperate. He leaves behind sample bottles and his contact card. If they change their minds after testing it, they can call him before midnight. Otherwise, he will sell the product elsewhere. After he leaves, everyone in the store thinks he is crazy. But one customer is interested. Park Jin-seo, the leader of a raid team and a regular at the drugstore, picks up one of the bottles. He has experience with potions and drugs, so he drinks it immediately. Beck panics because the medicine is untested, but Jin-seo only says it tastes like plain water. He feels no special effect. No mana surge, no potion kick, nothing. To him, Tiju is just a scammer. That changes later. Jin's team goes hunting in mutant frog territory. But blade-toothed martins appear where they should not. Their bug-proof suits are damaged, and mutant mosquitoes begin swarming them. One teammate has already been bitten, and Jinsu fears the venom is spreading through his body. His shield weakens. The situation becomes the exact nightmare every hunter fears. The team is surrounded, the insects are attacking, and the monsters are pressing forward at the same time. A single failure in Jinso's mana flow would turn the whole formation into prey. A monster attacks. The blade pierces his barrier and the shield shatters. Jinsu expects his mana to scatter and his strength to leave him. But nothing happens. His mana remains stable, his body does not collapse. That is when he realizes that the so-called water he drank was not a scam. The medicine's greatest effect is its lack of drama. There is no glowing aura, no explosive power, and no flashy transformation. It simply prevents the venom from doing what it is supposed to do. In a real hunt, that quiet stability is priceless. The antidote works if the medicine is real. The battle can still be won. Jinsu grips his sword and throws himself back into the fight. That night, he rushes back to Beck drugstore and demands to buy every bottle in stock. The mosquito antidote is no longer a joke. Soon Tuja meets Beck Hong Pao in a coffee shop to discuss the contract. The old owner wants to purchase all 60,000 bottles at 50,000 won each. The stock is worth billions. Tiju knows his actual production cost is tiny compared to that, so the profit is enormous. Still, he does not act like a merchant drunk on his first success. He understands that money without a safe workshop, supply chain, and trusted partner can disappear quickly in a city like Yuri. Beck Hong Pao's reputation matters as much as the contract itself. The old man is not the richest pharmacist in Gori, but people trust him. That kind of trust is rare in a free city. By working with him, Tiju gains more than a shop counter. He gains a public face that hunters are willing to believe. But Tiju does not simply take the highest possible price. He offers Beck Drugstore an exclusive supply deal at a discount for 1 year. Beck thinks the offer is too generous. TJ explains that he knows Beck funds an orphanage with the drugstore's income. The old man is like a father to the children there. TJ wants to help in exchange for a safe workshop to manufacture the antidote. Beck Hong Pao is moved, the deal is sealed. From this point on, Tiju is no longer only surviving. He is building something. The antidote gives him cash. The drugstore gives him distribution. And the orphanage gives him a reason to work with someone who is not driven only by greed. For Tiju, that last part is unfamiliar. Most relationships in his life have been shaped by shame, usefulness, or hierarchy. Beck Hong Pao is one of the first adults who treats him like a person instead of a defect, and that changes how Tiju approaches the deal. After securing money in a workspace, Tiju goes to the famous market of the Free City. He grew up in a border town and has never seen a market this large. Magical beast meat, monster materials, weapons, armor, and luxury items fill the streets. He takes a day off to look for equipment. For a martial artist who uses hidden weapons, equipment is not decoration. The right blade can decide whether a technique pierces skin or bounces off. The right clothing can determine how many weapons he can carry without revealing them. TJ's shopping trip is really preparation for future battles. He also understands that money has to be converted into survival. Quickly, a fortune sitting in an account will not stop a monster claw or a master's sword. Proper weapons and protective clothing are investments in staying alive long enough to spend the rest. First, he needs better hidden weapons. A giant bald blacksmith notices him and calls him over. The man poses dramatically and insists his workshop is the best in town. Teju is initially repulsed by the blacksmith's energy and tries to leave, but the man grabs his shoulder and easily moves him around. That surprises Teju. He has reached the 3rd star. Yet this strange blacksmith pushes him around effortlessly. The man might be eccentric, but he is not weak. Inside the workshop, Teju examines the weapons and uses his martial senses to judge the craftsmanship. Despite the blacksmith's ridiculous personality, his work is excellent. The contrast is almost annoying. The man acts like a walking joke, but every blade in the shop is properly balanced. The hammer marks are clean, the edges are disciplined, and the monosteel pieces are treated with real skill. Teju cannot dismiss him after seeing the results. The blacksmith's personality may be unbearable, but Teju respects competence. In Murum, skilled craftsmen were often as valuable as martial artists, because the right weapon could carry a technique beyond its normal limit. The same principle applies here. Teju draws the design for willow leaf flying daggers. They are small, thin, hidden weapons meant for speed and precision. The blacksmith immediately understands that ordinary metal will not be enough. They need monosteel to function properly. The order is expensive, 100 daggers for 250 million won. Teju pays the full amount up front. Now he needs armor, but heavy armor does not match his style. Tangun Arc used robes with many hidden compartments, but Teju knows that walking around modern Gori, dressed like an ancient Murum villain, would make him look ridiculous. He needs a modern substitute. That is when a fox-eared woman hands him a flyer for Flame Boutique. They are displaying special coats, and Ju immediately realizes that a leather coat could replace a robe. Perfectly, a coat would let him move through modern streets without drawing the wrong kind of attention, while still giving him space for hidden weapons. It would also offer protection against magical beast attacks, weather and temperature changes. In other words, it is not fashion to him. It is tactical clothing at the same time. Young He, the heir of Baekdu Group and a military academy cadet, arrives in Gori with Secretary Kim. She has come specifically to buy a rare Siberian illusion fox leather coat. The coat is valuable because it offers defense, comfort and temperature control in both winter and summer. Her arrival shows how expensive and rare the item really is. This is not something an ordinary hunter buys on impulse. It is a luxury product powerful enough to attract the heir of a major group, and that makes the major's later decision even more meaningful. Even though her grandfather gave her a black card, He wants to use her own money. She and Secretary Kim head straight to Flame Boutique. Inside the boutique, Teju meets the owner. She recognizes him first. She is the red-haired mage from the ORC incident. For Teju, this is an uncomfortable reunion. He did not stay behind to become anyone's hero. He acted, hid his traces, and left. The mage's tears forced him to confront the human side of his choices. He can tell himself that he only acted for training, but the result was still a saved life. For someone raised in cruelty, being thanked for existing in someone's memory is almost harder to process than being insulted. But the person he saved has carried that day with her for a month. And now she is standing in front of him with gratitude. He never asked for. Teju does not recognize her immediately. But once she reminds him, he becomes cautious. He had intentionally credited her with the ORC kills to stay hidden. If she remembers too much, she could become a problem. So he tries to leave, but the mage stops him. She only wants to know whether he was the one who saved her. Teju denies it, but she can tell he has secrets. She chooses not to expose him. Instead, she thanks him. Because of him, she survived long enough to recover the bodies of her team leader and boyfriend. She breaks down in tears. Tizhou is uncomfortable. He did save her. But his main reason for acting back then was to test his power. Her gratitude feels heavier than he expected. Before the conversation can settle, Secretary Kim loses patience and yells at the shop owner. Uni has been waiting to buy the coat. The mage suddenly apologizes and says she can no longer sell it. Secretary Kim explodes with anger. They came all this way for that item, and now the seller refuses. At the final moment, Yoon-hee, however, stops her secretary. She is annoyed, but she does not make a scene and leaves calmly. TJ worries that he has caused unnecessary trouble. Then the mage explains. The coat was supposed to be sold to an important customer, and refusing that sale could damage her business. Even so, she values the debt of life more than profit. Tiger may not understand that kind of sincerity yet, but the mage clearly does. She wants to give the coat to him. Tiger refuses at first. The coat is expensive, and he does not believe he deserves such gratitude. But the mage says his intentions do not matter. Whatever reason he had, he saved her life. If he wants to repay her, he should save more people. Those words remain in his mind because they offer a different path from pure revenge. Tosha does not suddenly become soft, but he begins to understand that power can be used for more than killing enemies. Medicine protection and intervention can also be forms of strength. For Tizhou, who has spent his life surrounded by people who insulted, used or abandoned him, sincere thanks are unfamiliar. The feeling is strange but not unpleasant. In the end, he accepts. Meanwhile, in the Lost Soul realm, Tangun Arca continues adjusting to his strange afterlife. The sword immortal Dongbin is bored out of his mind. Everyone in the realm dresses and acts similarly. But Tangun Arca has started making clothes based on Earth's modern fashion. Dongbin decides that if he is going to survive this endless boredom, he needs to learn too. So he offers Tangun Arca Heavenly Peach as a bribe. Back at the orphanage, TJ spends 7 straight days in an underground workshop, producing antidotes. The actual medicine is not the problem. Packaging each bottle is what drives him insane. The scene is almost comical compared to the battles before it. A man who survived assassination, killed soldiers, and absorbed poison is now defeated by repetitive packaging work. The irony is not lost on him. He can circulate deadly toxins through his meridians, but after thousands of bottles, labels and caps, even the Supreme Poison Demon's successor starts wanting a machine. This is the less glamorous side of becoming rich through medicine. But for a product to sell, it must be bottled, labeled, and prepared like any normal medicine. When 2 orphans open the door, smoke rolls out and Tizhou emerges, looking like a ghost who has not showered for a week. The children scream and run away. Tizhou is offended. Soon after, Baek-Yeon appears. She is one of the orphanage's older children and has heard from Honpao that Tizhou signed a contract with him. She came to check on the so-called ghost and also deliver a package. The package is from the blacksmith. It is a small moment, but an important one. Teacher's new life is taking shape piece by piece. Medicine from his own hands, a workshop from Baek Honpao, a coat from the mage, and now proper hidden weapons from the blacksmith. Each item makes him less dependent on luck. Inside is the prototype for the willow leaf flying daggers. TJ ignores the blacksmith's overly dramatic note and inspects the blade. The prototype is excellent. It is sharp balanced, sturdy and comfortable to control. His weapons are coming together. Now he only needs his coat. Then he realizes he is late for a porter job and finally rushes to shower. At Mount Jury, TJO joins the party his old boss invited him to. The boss thanks him for coming on short notice. TJ says he is only repaying the man's earlier kindness. But one party member immediately complains. Young Won-jun, a beginner rank swordsman, insults TJ for delaying the hunt. To him, a porter is below an awakener and should apologize for even inconveniencing them. His arrogance is not unusual in this city. Many awakeners believe that porters exist only to carry loads, absorb insults, and die first when things go wrong. The system around hunting encourages that mindset. Porters are necessary but replaceable. They know routes carry equipment and help raids function. Yet when danger appears, they have the least protection and the smallest voice. TJ knows this attitude well because he has been treated as lesser his entire life. TJ tells him to be careful with his words. That only makes Jun angrier. An unmarked porter daring to talk back feels outrageous to him. TJ briefly feels the urge to kill him, and he understands why the previous porter ran away from this group. The old boss wants Tijo that breaking the contract would bring a heavy penalty, so Tijo controls himself and apologizes. The party moves out. Tijo notices that the raid normally requires around 15 people, but they are attempting it with only 7. Because of the mosquito antidote, many teams have started cutting members and skipping bug suits. That makes raids cheaper, but it also makes them reckless. The antidote solved one problem, but it also made greedy hunters overconfident. They save money by reducing manpower, then mistake a safer environment for an easy one. Tijo can already see how quickly that mindset can turn fatal. Tijo warns them that the numbers are dangerous. Jun mocks him again. The team leader threatens to kill Tijo if he keeps talking. Tijo's patience thins. Before entering the deeper forest, everyone drinks the mosquito antidote. The old boss hands Tijo a bottle, not knowing that it is Tijo's own product. Tijo accepts it with a small smile and thinks about how many lives the medicine is already saving. But the medicine has also changed him. Not directly, but through the path that created it. Because of Tang Guan's case memories, Tijo has inherited a heart that does not forgive easily. Twice today, he has considered killing the party members who insulted him. He knows this comes from the supreme poison demon, but he does not reject it. Weakness nearly killed him. That is why he does not completely hate the coldness inside him. His old self endured humiliation because he had no way to answer it. The supreme poison demon's heart gives him the ability to punish those who cross the line. The danger is learning where that line should be. Kindness without strength means nothing. Still, Tijo tells the old boss to stay close to him. The boss thinks standing near an awakener would be safer, but Tijo insists he can feel something dangerous deeper in the forest. A presence is watching them. A flashback from Muram shows Tangun Orca destroying the Zuji clan. The patriarch, known as the Lightning Demon, accuses him of framing one of the 5 great clans. Tanguan Ake laughs and reveals the truth. The clan had secretly worked with the demonic cult and sacrificed civilians to create demonic blood pills. Then he throws the patriarch's son's head at his feet. Tanguan Ake despises people who sacrifice the weak for their own gain. The patriarch begs for his life and offers information about the heavenly demon, but Tang Hunaka refuses. Too many innocent people died because of him. So, the supreme poison demon executes him with a rain of poisoned blades. Back on Earth, the raid party is enjoying easy success with the antidote. Removing the mosquito threat, hunting blade-tooth martins becomes simple. Jun mocks Tijo for doubting them, claiming that a porter will always be a porter. Their confidence grows with every monster they kill. They pile up loot, laugh loudly, and treat Tijo's warning like the whining of someone too weak to understand hunting. None of them considers that their smooth raid is built on medicine created by the very porter they are insulting. Tijo knows the only reason they are succeeding is because of his medicine. He also knows they are not ready for what is coming. He warns the old boss again. Then the red-furred wolves appear. The party freezes. A single red wolf is dangerous enough to require a regular rank awakener. Worse, they move in packs. When the second wolf appears, panic spreads instantly. Jun swings wildly, but the wolf dodges. He asks the team leader for orders, but the team leader is already running. His plan is disgusting in emergencies. This party throws porters to the monsters as bait, while the awakeners escape to them. The weakest members exist to be sacrificed. The old boss clearly knows this practice exists, which is why his fear turns so desperate. He has probably seen it happen before. Maybe not every party does it, but enough have that he understands the look in the team leader's eyes. Once an awakener decides a porter is bait, pleading usually changes nothing. He understands that once the awakeners decide to run, porters like him have no legal protection, no strength to resist, and no one who will avenge them. The old boss trembles and asks Tiju for a solution. Tiju is happy to provide one. But his solution is not rescue in the gentle sense. He does not simply kill the wolves and forgive the party. He decides that people who treat the weak as disposable should experience what it feels like to be abandoned in front of death. He throws one of his hidden weapons using single flash. The projectile moves so fast that it grazes Wonjun's skull, slices the team leader's face, and embeds itself in a rock. Both men scream as they realize they have lost their ears. One of the red wolves is already dead. Killed by Tiger's attack, the boss stares in shock. Tiju turns to the party and asks if this is normal for them. Do they always sacrifice the weakest to save themselves? He already knows the answer, but he wants to hear it from their own mouths. The moment they justify it, the judgment becomes final in Tiger's mind. They place themselves in the same category as every corrupt clan, officer, and family member who decided that the powerless could be discarded. The wolves become almost secondary. The true test is moral. Toja wants to know whether these people are frightened humans, making one bad choice, or whether they genuinely believe weaker lives are worthless. Their answer condemns them. Wonjun screams that it is only natural the less important should die. For awakeners. That is all Toja needs to hear. He moves to a safe place with the boss and orders the party to fight. He has already killed one wolf. The remaining one is theirs. The awakeners protest, threaten, and beg. But Tijao does not move. He reminds them that he is the porter. His job is to carry luggage. Their job is to fight monsters. The wolf attacks. Wang Jun dies first. His arrogance ending in one brutal strike. The team leader curses Tiju, but fails to notice the wolf beside him. The beast bites of his upper body. The remaining party members try to flee, but the wolf hunts them down one by one. When the last awakener falls, the wolf turns toward the old boss. Tiju is annoyed. He would have let the beast live if it had run away. Instead, after killing a few weaklings, it has grown confident, so Tiju kills it. He unleashes blood seal poison palm, and a shockwave rises into the sky. The old boss finally understands everything. Tiju was the one who wiped out the ORCs before. He gave credit to the mage to hide himself. Terrified after seeing his power, the boss falls to his knees and begs for his life. Tiju reassures him that he will not be harmed. He only needs to stay silent about what happened. The boss understands immediately. As they leave the mountain, the corpses remain behind. Tiju feels no guilt. This is one of the clearest signs that Tang Guinevere's influence has settled deep inside him. He is not killing randomly, but his mercy has become selective. To teach you, survival is no longer about being nice enough to be accepted. It is about deciding who deserves to remain in his path. The people he allowed to die were the kind who would sacrifice the weak for their own survival. In his eyes, they are no different from the corrupt clans Tangun Ak, once destroyed at UJ Pharmacy headquarters. The major drugstore owners of Gori hold an emergency meeting. Their sales have collapsed because hunters are buying mosquito antidotes from Big Drugstore. The small shop they once ignored is now threatening their profits. That is why the meeting is filled with anger instead of simple business concern. The larger companies are not only losing money, they are being embarrassed. A tiny store with an orphanage director is outperforming their research departments because of an unknown newcomer. The room is filled with men who are used to controlling the market. They own supply lines, influence pharmacists, and expect smaller stores to bow or disappear. Big drugstore becoming popular because of one miracle product is not something they can tolerate. They tried to copy the medicine. They failed.
Johan Ok, the representative of UJ Pharmacy,
reveals the information they discovered. The creator is Kim Tae-koo,
a 29-year-old discharged officer and the eldest son of Brigadier General Kim Won-bong of Baekdu.
The room becomes cautious at first.
A general's son is not easy to touch. But that caution weakens once they hear the full story.
TJ's name sounds powerful.
Yet his actual position is vulnerable.
A disgraced son, a money reject. And a man separated from his family is exactly the kind of target
powerful businessmen believe they can pressure.
But Johan Ok continues. TJ is a money reject. He was kicked out of his family.
His stepmother wanted him dead and had 2 sons of her own.
In other words, Tijo has a famous name, but no real protection.
Johan Ok decides to approach him with a lucrative offer. If Tijo refuses, they will use their usual bloody methods. The Imperial Army also begins moving.
At the Magical Beast Defense Corps of Mount Jury, Lieutenant General Oh Jin-heim receives information about Tijo and the antidote. If the military secures a supply contract,
they can conduct large-scale subjugation operations before the next magical beast wave. Since Tijo is a former soldier and technically General Kim's son, the Lieutenant General believes negotiation might be easy.
The military views the matter differently from the pharmacies. They are not thinking only about profit.
A mosquito antidote could allow soldiers to enter dangerous zones
with fewer losses,
expand subjugation routes, and prepare for future magical beast waves.
Strategically choose medicine is a weapon. It can reduce casualties, increase operational time, lower protective equipment costs, and allow units to move through mosquito-heavy zones without fear. The Lieutenant General immediately understands
that this is not just a pharmacy product.
It is military logistics in a bottle. He requests a meeting with General Kim at the Kim estate. Ju's stepmother reacts immediately when she hears the news. The boy she tried to have killed has become valuable. She insists on going to Curry, claiming that family should help family,
and that teacher may be scammed. Now that he has money, General Kim tells her not to bother.
Tijo was removed from the family register.
She argues that blood tiers still matter, but then she realizes that her husband knows about the assassination attempt.
She trembles, but since Lieutenant Chang is dead,
there is no proof.
She still demands that he contact Tijo for the military antidote. It could help his promotion evaluation,
support their finances, and benefit their 2 younger sons.
Her concern has nothing to do with TJ's life.
The same woman who tried to erase him now talks about family because he has become useful. Her words sound caring on the surface, but every sentence points back to benefit promotion tuition. Family finances younger sons.
Tiger's life only matters to her when it can be converted into advantage.
That hypocrisy is exactly the kind of weakness
Tijo is slowly learning to see through. General Kim tells her that if she wants something from Tijo,
she should go herself when she leaves.
The general sits alone. His son,
whom he thought was dead, is alive and doing well in the free city.
And despite everything, he feels a quiet relief.
Back at Flame Boutique, TJO tries on his completed coat.
The result is perfect. The coat changes his appearance completely. The hidden pockets are placed exactly where his hands naturally move. The weight distribution does not interfere with footwork. Even the material's flexibility supports quick turns and sudden throws.
It is almost as if the modern coat has become a Murin battle robe. Redesigned for Earth, he no longer looks like a temporary porter,
scraping by in a dangerous city.
With the refined leather, hidden compartments, and modern cut,
he looks like someone with money, confidence, and secrets.
The leather is light, durable,
protective, and temperature-controlled.
The color suits him, and the many hidden pockets are exactly what he requested.
The mage finally understands why he needed them.
TJ uses many weapons, which means he is not a normal porter at all.
TJ tries to pay for the coat, but the mage insists it is repayment. Since he now has money, he chooses to support her business another way. He orders several more items as gifts for the orphans. The mage is happy to deal with someone kind for once,
instead of rude awakeners. Then Juhan OK enters the boutique.
He introduces himself as the CEO of UJ Pharmacy
and says he has been searching for Tiju.
Tiju immediately becomes wary.
Juhan OK asks him to sell the mosquito antidote.
Tiju refuses. The CEO offers to break his contract with Baekong Pio. Tiju refuses again, then Joe offers 5 billion won for the formula. The offer sounds enormous, but Jae-jiuri understands the insult behind it.
The formula is not a simple recipe. It is based on poison spirit art, Murum knowledge, and his own ability to identify equivalent herbs on Earth.
Even if teacher wrote down the ingredients,
ordinary pharmacists would not truly reproduce the medicine. The internal energy control,
poison refinement,
and subtle processing steps cannot be copied by machines
or standard labs. That is why selling the formula would be foolish and unnecessary.
Selling it cheaply
would mean handing away the foundation of his independence. Tiju says he would never sell it that cheaply.
Johanneke's polite mask begins to crack. He warns Tiju that upsetting him will make life in Guri difficult.
Tiju dismisses him like a beggar.
That single insult is enough to turn business pressure
into personal hatred.
Juhan OK is not used to being treated as insignificant,
especially by a newcomer with no visible mana. From his perspective, Tiju
needs to be taught what happens to people who reject the city's established powers. Outside, Juhan OK calls his people and orders them to begin the usual operation.
Later, Jae-jiuri visits the construction site of his new residence, near the edge of Guri. He brings bags full of clothes for the orphans and Beck. Hwang Pao becomes emotional at his kindness. TJ also tells Hong Pao that he has decided to follow his advice.
He will create his own pharmaceutical company. A company means more than a brand name.
It means production, distribution, employees, contracts,
security, and political weight.
Tijo cannot fight every enemy alone forever.
If he wants to stand against families,
pharmacies, guilds, and the military,
he needs an organization of his own.
This is another lesson from both worlds. Lone strength is powerful,
but influence spreads through structures. Sex clans, guilds, armies, companies. Every world has its own version.
TJ is beginning to build his. The visit from YUJ Pharmacy reminded him how the powerless are treated. If he keeps relying on another company's protection, people like Juhan OK will continue trying to crush him.
So Tiju will build his own foundation.
While waiting for the company to take shape, Tiju plans to return to the mountain and develop more medicines. The chaos form poison spirit art is Tangguan K's greatest creation. This technique is the reason Tangguan K
could stand above monsters of Murum.
It is not simply a cultivation method that makes the body stronger.
It is a complete system for absorbing, transforming, storing and weaponizing poison
until poison itself becomes the user's identity. It combines poison techniques from his clan 5 element, chi cultivation, and inspiration from other martial arts he absorbed throughout his life. The art has 10 stars and each star grants access to new abilities.
After the 10th star, the user must reach enlightenment and form the poison spirit, the key to the secret technique 10,000 torrential pedal rain. That technique was powerful enough for Tangan
Arca to defeat the heavenly demon on Earth. Tiju uses magical beasts to accelerate his growth. He hunts a poisoned claw lynx and kills it after a difficult fight.
Its skin is tough and his current internal energy is still limited, but he manages to bring it down and harvest its poison.
Earth's variety of poisonous creatures is greater than Myurum's, which means Ju's growth could be extremely fast if he keeps finding the right materials. For Tangan AK, this world would have been a treasure.
Mountain creatures evolved through mana,
producing toxins that did not exist in Murum.
Tijun may lack his counterpart's experience, but he has access to ingredients
even the supreme poison demon never touched. He wants to reach the 4th star.
Then he finds this poor poison water deer.
The creature's peaceful nature makes the scene strangely cruel. It is not attacking anyone. It is not roaring or charging,
but to teach you the mountain is a place of resources.
and this deer contains the exact poison he needs to advance. Sentiment cannot stop cultivation. The creature itself is peaceful and does not attack humans, but the poison in its humps is terrifying. TJ kills the deer quickly and as expected. The humps on its back burst open after death. Toxic spores fill the air.
The poison is strong enough to melt gas masks and takes around an hour to disappear naturally.
Tiju examines the spores carefully. This is the strongest poison he has encountered on Earth so far. So he absorbs it. The spores enter his lungs, skin and meridians. Pain spreads through his body as the poison tries to damage him from every direction. Tiger's task is to catch that destructive force before it becomes fatal.
Then twist it into something his art can use.
He sits in the poisonous cloud and circulates the energy through his body. The process takes hours. Too much poison could destroy him. But Tijo converts it into internal energy piece by piece. By the time he finishes, Kim Tijo has reached the 4th star.
He has also discovered a way to create an antidote for the water, deer poison.
When he returns to Beck drugstore after 15 days, Hong Pao and the receptionist are worried
because he was unreachable the entire time.
The shelves are empty, but not because everything is going perfectly. The major pharmaceutical companies have stopped supplying. Beck drugstore, the autonomous committee's drug approval department,
has also demanded the ingredient list for the mosquito antidote,
claiming that they need to check for side effects. TJ immediately understands. Johan OK is attacking them through business and politics.
This is not a battlefield
where TJ can simply throw a dagger and end the problem. It forces him to think like a businessman and strategist,
instead of only a martial artist.
Sometimes the best counter-attack is not violence. Sometimes it is letting the enemy's own scheme create public demand, then stepping aside while the city turns against them. The enemy is using suppliers' approvals, rumors, and committee influence.
It is a different kind of poison,
one that spreads through society instead of the bloodstream. If they refuse to reveal the ingredients,
sales could be banned. If they comply, the formula may be stolen.
Either way, UJ Pharmacy expects them to suffer. Tijuana chooses a third option.
They will stop selling the antidote themselves.
It is a risky move, but also a clever one. If the product disappears, the hunters will immediately feel its absence. The city has already grown dependent on the antidote. The product changed hunter behavior almost immediately. Parties reduced costs, entered zones more freely, and trusted the medicine to replace bulky protection.
Removing it suddenly makes everyone feel the old danger again.
And fear is much louder than advertising. By withdrawing it, TJO turns public demand into pressure against the very people trying to ban him. If the committee wants to claim there might be side effects, then let the city experience what happens when the medicine disappears. That night, the orphanage holds a barbecue using spore-poisoned water deer meat. Tiju tastes it and is stunned. The meat is unbelievably delicious. The rumors that the emperor collects purified water deer carcasses suddenly make sense originally. Tiju wanted the antidote to protect civilians from water
deer poison during magical beast waves. Now he sees another opportunity.
The meat itself could become a luxury business. For a man who started as a discarded soldier, the idea is almost absurd.
He is no longer thinking only about surviving the next enemy.
He is imagining markets, customers, imperial demand, and products that could make even nobles pay attention. Maybe even the emperor would become a customer. Hong Pao thanks Tiju for treating the orphanage
and praises him for creating a second antidote.
He worries about the pharmacy staying closed, but Tiju tells him to wait. Soon, everyone will learn who really suffers without the mosquito antidote. 5 days later, Park Jin-soo is angry.
He is not angry as a businessman or politician. He is angry as someone who has stood in the mountain
and knows exactly how many people this medicine can save.
To hunters, the antidote is not a convenience. It is the difference between a profitable raid and a grave.
Betrayal store is still closed, and he is almost out of antidote. Around him, hunters gossip that maybe the medicine really has side effects. Jinsu is furious because he has used it and knows it works.
Then the young HAK arrives to maintain order.
He announces that the committee has banned sales until the formula can be checked. Hunters protest immediately. Without the antidote,
they must return to expensive bug suits and more dangerous raids.
The public pressure begins to rise.
Lee smirks, annoyed that weak people are talking back. But he does not cut them down. He does not care much about the medicine, but he does want to know why Chuhan OK has manipulated the committee into using him like a tool.
From a distance, Chuhan OK watches, while speaking on the phone with an administrative officer.
He is pleased. With political backing, Lee can be outvoted, and their second phase is already in motion.
Unless TJ finds money quickly, UJ Pharmacy believes Taihong's side will collapse. This shows how confident the Pharmacy Association is.
They believe pressure works on everyone, eventually. Cut supply, threaten approval,
spread rumors, drain money, and the target will either sell or break.
What they do not know is that Tiju has already found a buyer bigger than all of them. But Tiju is already negotiating with the military.
In Lieutenant General Oh Jin Hyung's office, TJ offers 1 million bottles of mosquito antidote at market price. TJ worries the military might find the price high, but the general is pleased.
To him, the price is reasonable.
Even low considering the value of the medicine. The difference in scale is enormous. For small pharmacies, a few billion won sounds like a war. For the military, saving soldiers and expanding operations is worth far more. This is why Jua's position changes overnight. He is no longer a small supplier being squeezed by local merchants. Once the defense cause pays him, he has enough money to breathe.
Enough backing to resist, and enough importance that attacking him becomes politically risky.
TJ's product enters a completely different level of negotiation.
The moment the defense corps becomes involved, he orders half the payment to be sent immediately. Then TJ reveals another product. Spore poison water deer meat. He suggests that it be given to the emperor.
The officers are shocked. This meat is famous for its incredible taste. But the poison makes it almost impossible to handle safely.
If Tiju has the antidote, then the product's value is enormous.
The Lieutenant General is impressed
enough to offer Tiju a chance to rejoin the army. The suggestion immediately triggers Tiju's killing intent.
For anyone else, rejoining the army might sound like an honor.
For Tiju, it reminds him of being used,
discarded, and nearly executed. His body reacts before his mind fully explains why.
He will make deals with the military, but he will not return to being their property.
He has no desire to return to the military. That system treated him as disposable,
and his old life ended the day he was thrown off that cliff.
Still, the deal is successful.
The magical beast defense corps gains access to the antidote, and Tiju gains money, military interests, and a powerful shield against UJ Pharmacy.
At his new residence, Hong Pao
explains that he used the military's massive down payment to repay the loan
and cut ties with the bank,
causing trouble.
Tiju tells him to use the remaining money for the orphanage.
Then Tiju offers Hong Pao a role in the new company.
Hong Pao tries to accept only a small share,
but Tiju insists on giving him 30%.
TJ knows medicine and poison,
but he does not know business.
That self-awareness matters.
He could try to control everything himself, but that would only create weaknesses.
By trusting Hong Pao and later So Yoon, he allows the company to grow in areas where his martial arts knowledge cannot help. He needs someone trustworthy, and Hong Pao has proven himself.
The company is named Taihong Bio.
The name is simple, but it carries meaning.
Tihua provides the medicine and vision,
while Hong Bio provides trust,
management, and the human connection that Tihua still lacks.
It is not just a business partnership.
It is the first structure Tiju builds with someone he willingly trusts.
Hong Pao suggests calling some of the older orphans,
who became awakeners, to act as bodyguards.
Tiju says he does not need protection, but Hong Pao is worried. UG Pharmacy is not the type to stop with paperwork.
So Tiju decides to prove he can protect himself. He tells Hong Pao to call the bodyguards and bring them to the mountain. It will also be a good chance to test the water deer antidote.
Tiju does not intend to release a medicine without proof.
The mosquito antidote succeeded because real hunters tested it in real danger.
This second product needs the same kind of validation, and the mountain is the only place where that can happen properly.
Soon Tiju enters magical beast territory with the orphanage awakeners. They are grateful to Hong Pao and curious about Tiju, but they still worry because he is unmarked. Baek Jong-han, a young swordsman,
offers to take the lead for safety. Tiju tells him to call him Young instead of Boss.
Before they can go much farther, dozens of eyes appear in the trees above them.
Storm Martins attack the Awakeners prepare to fight.
But Tiju moves first. He pulls out nails,
golf balls,
and other small projectiles instead of using his expensive daggers. Then he unleashes Dagger Burst.
The entire swarm is destroyed almost instantly. For the Orphanage Awakeners, the moment is shocking because it breaks every assumption they had. Tiju has no mono mark, no visible awakening aura, and no official rank.
Yet he wipes out a monster swarm
faster than most trained hunters could react. The bodyguards stare in disbelief. TJ did not even use real weapons.
The group continues until they find a spore-poisoned water deer.
Tiju tells everyone to take the antidote.
The orphans are nervous because it is still experimental, but they trust Hong Pao and have now seen Tiju's strength.
Chong-hun charges first. The deer releases a powerful scream,
but he jumps through it and cuts off the monster's head. Then the humps explode.
Toxic spores flood the area.
Everyone holds their breath at first, but nobody collapses. The antidote works perfectly.
That success means more than a single safe hunt.
It means water deer poison can be neutralized.
The meat can be harvested reliably, and a previously dangerous magical beast can become a luxury resource.
Hong Bio now has a second product with enormous potential.
The group celebrates and Tiju is satisfied.
The successful test also gives the orphanage
Awakeners confidence in him.
They no longer see him as a mysterious benefactor who throws money around. They see someone who can create medicine, fight monsters, and open a future for the people connected to Hong Pao.
Without its poison, the water deer is not difficult to hunt. He orders them to recover the meat,
already knowing that the creature's market value will skyrocket.
In New Seoul, Baek Soyeon is approached at Milligram's headquarters by a deputy head. The man knows she was raised by Baek Hwang Pao
and orders her to return to Gori
and steal the water deer antidote formula from Tae Hwang Pao.
So Yeon is disgusted.
Before she answers, Hong Tao calls her and explains the situation.
He wants her help managing Teacher's new company.
She smiles.
Then she throws her employee badge at the deputy head and quits.
If they expected her to betray her father,
they chose the wrong person.
So Yeon's decision also gives Tiju
something his enemies keep underestimating: loyalty. People who were helped by Hong Pao,
raised by the orphanage, or saved through Toju's actions,
are not as easy to buy as corporate men assume. That night, Teacher's new building is full of activity.
As the orphanage children help organize supplies,
Teacher gives them food and gifts,
then tells them to return home
while he handles the rest.
Chong-hun wants to stay as a bodyguard. Tiju
demonstrates enough strength to make it clear that he does not need
protection and tells the Awakener to guard the orphanage instead.
For the first time in a long while,
Tiju enters his own home alone.
The quiet moment matters. There are no soldiers dragging him,
no family judging him,
no officers giving orders, and no hunters insulting him.
The building is still new and danger is still everywhere.
But it is his space, built with his money and protected by his choices. Not long ago,
he expected to die after being betrayed by family and military alike. Since then, he gained another world's martial arts,
moved to Gori, created a miracle antidote,
made allies, and began building a company. Yuri is only the beginning of his independence, but that same night criminals arrive.
The timing proves Hong Pao was right to worry.
Success attracts customers,
but it also attracts predators.
UG Pharmacy may have failed to pressure TJO legally,
but people like Juhan OK always keep dirtier methods ready.
A gangster boss named Mongshik enters the property under Johanna K's orders. The plan is to inject Tijo with a drug,
kidnap him and force him into addiction until he gives up the formula.
They creep toward Tijo's bed with a syringe.
But just before the needle touches him,
the subordinate's hand stops. Tijo has been awake the entire time.
He says he sensed them coming long ago. Then he disappears from the bed and takes the syringe from them.
The gangsters begin to doubt whether he is truly unmarked. TJ asks whether the drug would work if he drank it.
Then he swallows it himself.
The criminals expect fear.
But Tijo treats their weapon like a taste test.
The drug that should have enslaved him becomes research material. This is the ultimate reversal of Johanna K's plan. The criminals arrive believing they can turn Tijo into an addict,
but they end up delivering a new poison sample directly to a poison cultivator.
Their weapon strengthens the victim.
Their entire plan collapses because they targeted someone whose body is built to devour poison. Instead of collapsing, he enjoys the effect. To him, the drug is basically another poison.
And at the 4th star, his body can handle it. It even strengthens his poison essence. The criminals realize they have tried to poison the wrong man. TJO drains the drug from one of them and demands to know who sent them. When they refuse, screams echo through the night.
The next morning, Lee Young AJK receives a report that Kim Tae-jo,
the creator of the miracle antidote,
has reported a kidnapping attempt.
The captured gangsters have named Johan OK as the mastermind.
Lee understands the problem.
If he arrests Joe directly,
politics will become complicated. So he decides to remove the witnesses instead. At TJ's residence, the gangsters are tied up.
Feng Pao greets the arriving vigilantes.
But Lee ignores him and draws his sword over the prisoner. Lee's intention is obvious.
If the witness dies, the confession becomes easier to bury, and the political mess becomes smaller. In jury, justice is often less important than convenience, especially when the people involved have money and committee ties.
He intends to execute the witness. A flying dagger stops him. That single interruption prevents the witness from being erased and also forces Lee to acknowledge TJ publicly. It is no longer possible to treat him like a passive victim, waiting for authorities to decide the outcome.
TJ asks why the vigilante captain is trying to kill the person
who just confessed. Then he reveals that he recorded the confession.
The video proves that Johan OK
ordered the kidnapping and drugging attempt. Lee recognizes Tiju as the porter from the mountain. He also realizes that this unmarked man is much more dangerous than he appears. Still, Lee declares that, in Gori, he is the law. He gives Tiju one chance to let him execute the criminals.
TJ refuses.
Lee sentences him to death.
TJ attacks first, throwing hidden weapons.
Lee's sword moves like a storm,
deflecting the projectiles,
but one of them still scratches him. That scratch is small but symbolically enormous.
A master rank awakener, one of the strongest people in the city,
has been touched by the attack of an unmarked man. Lee's pride cannot ignore it,
and Tiju can feel how dangerous the next exchange will be. The master rank awakener is surprised. Tiju is not merely lucky.
He is strong enough to wound him. The battle is about to escalate when a helicopter arrives overhead.
The arrival changes the mood instantly. Until that moment, the conflict belongs to Yuri's internal power structure,
with Lee acting like the highest authority on the scene. The helicopter announces that another power has entered the board, one that does not need the Free City's permission to make itself heard. The soldiers descending from the sky make the vigilantes look smaller.
For the first time, Guri may be autonomous,
but it still exists inside the Empire. And the military's interest in TJO creates a protective shadow that even the committee must consider.
Soldiers descend from the sky. Lieutenant General Oh Jun-hai lands with several master rank officers and stops the fight.
Lee demands to know
why the military is interfering in Free City affairs, but Oh calmly says he is visiting a friend as a civilian.
It is a thin excuse, but everyone understands the message.
The military has chosen to stand behind Teju.
The antidote is too important, and anyone who threatens its creator
is now touching military interests. The soldiers openly side with Chu. One offers bodyguards. Another offers medical support. Another warns that anyone who threatens the antidote supply
threatens the military's interests. Lee realizes he is surrounded by people as powerful as himself. He tries to invoke authority, but it reminds him that being a master does not make them equals. If the lieutenant general kills him here,
even the emperor might not bother defending Lee.
Lee is forced to retreat.
The retreat is humiliating
because Lee is not used to stepping back in his own city. But even a corrupt master knows when the board is stacked against him. Fighting one master is a duel. Fighting several military masters over a valuable supplier is suicide.
Oh takes custody of the prisoners,
saying that anyone who threatens antidote production threatens the entire defense corps.
TJ understands something from the exchange.
His poison scratched Lee, but it did not stop him instantly.
Without the military's arrival,
the result could have been uncertain. He needs more strength. That thought stays with him more strongly than the victory. Teju has money now, and he has allies. But none of that replaces personal power.
If a master can decide to kill him on a whim,
then every business plan
and every contract is still built on unstable ground.
This lesson echoes the one from the elite.
Orc DJ can surprise the strong, wound the strong and make them cautious.
But surprise is not enough. If he wants true freedom, he must reach a level
where powerful people cannot simply decide his fate. On the way back, the young HAK suddenly feels pain from the scratch.
The poison has spread. His subordinate rushes him to the hospital.
Meanwhile, on the military helicopter, the captured criminals beg to testify. Oh Jin-hyang says their testimony is unnecessary now.
Then he orders them thrown out of the helicopter.
The gangsters fall to their deaths.
The lieutenant general orders his men to deal with Truhan OK
and sends soldiers to protect Chu's company at the train station.
Baek Sahayan arrives in Gori.
After speaking with Chong Han, she learns that Tijo has already supplied the orphanage with billions
and completed a second antidote.
The man she once mistook for a ghost is clearly no ordinary drug maker. Her return changes the company's future. Tijo can create medicine and Hong Pao can provide trust. But So Yeon brings professional ability. She becomes the missing piece. If Ti-Hyung Bio is going to survive beyond a few miracle products, it needs someone who understands contracts, employees' growth and corporate enemies. So Yeon's loyalty and skill make her invaluable. She understands corporate structures, management and the kind of enemies Ti-Hyung Bio will face from now on. She heads home at the orphanage. The children are as lively as ever. Hong Pao welcomes her and brings her to Tia-ju,
who is serving food to the kids.
When So Yeon sees that the meal includes spore-poisoned water deer,
she is stunned. That confirms it.
The water deer antidote is real.
Tisha greets her warmly.
She apologizes for calling him a ghost before
and promises to work hard for Ti-Hyung Bio.
Then Major Do-in
so arrives with 19 soldiers assigned to protect the company.
Tijo is grateful, but immediately wonders where he is supposed to house 20 soldiers. The Major says they can handle themselves just like that. Tijo is surrounded by people. This is a quiet but meaningful contrast to the beginning. The story started with Tijo being hunted
by soldiers under his father's shadow. Now soldiers guard his company.
Orphans welcome him.
And business partners choose to stand with him willingly.
He no longer has to live as a loner. He has allies. He has a company. He has the orphanage. He has military protection.
For the first time since his execution,
he has something that resembles a foundation. Inside the autonomous committee meeting room,
Johanna K's crimes are exposed.
With the evidence and military pressure,
he has no choice but to plead guilty. His company is collapsing. His reputation is ruined, and the assassin he hired is no longer responding.
His only option is to disappear. For someone who once tried to corner TJU,
the reversal is almost poetic. Johanna OK used money, politics, suppliers, criminals, and committee influence to trap a newcomer. Now he is the one running,
isolated and exposed, but while escaping by car. A motorcycle pulls up beside him.
Metal breaks through the window. Blood splashes across the seat. The assassin completes his order and returns to base.
Johanna K's death
also hints that there are still unseen forces moving in the background. The man was a villain, but he was not the highest point of the food chain. Someone skilled enough to kill him cleanly and vanish may become a problem later.
At the hospital, the young HAK clings to life. His subordinate brings him a top-grade elixir from Myron Company.
Lee consumes it immediately, and the poison begins to clear from his veins. For a moment, he thinks the danger is gone. Then something inside him shatters.
The elixir purges the obvious poison.
But TJ's art is not a simple toxin. It carries hidden layers, delayed effects, and internal disruptions that do not behave like ordinary venom.
The young HAK survives, but the pain teaches him that the unmarked draft maker is more dangerous than expected.
Pain floods his body. He curses Kim Tae-ju again,
realizing that the poison was not so simple.
As Taehyung Bio grows, Tae-ju knows he needs more products.
More medicine means more ingredients, and more strength means more poison. His next target is the giant moon bear, whose gallbladder is a valuable ingredient for a powerful elixir.
He heads deep into Mount Jury.
His path through the mountain feels different from his early Porter days back then. He entered carefully, hiding his strength and following others.
Now he moves as a predator,
searching for specific prey, reading poisonous plants and beasts as if the whole mountain is a medicine cabinet. This is no longer a casual hunt for ingredients. TJ is deliberately seeking stronger poison because his enemies have grown stronger.
Business success has placed him in front of masters, politicians, and assassins.
The fifth star is no longer a luxury.
It is a necessity after absorbing a huge amount of water deer poison.
Tae-ju is already close to the fifth star, but not there yet. He searches the mountain carefully,
collecting anything useful first. He finds a poison sap tree.
It produces toxic ooze to repel pests.
But Tae-ju tastes it and finds the poison strangely sweet. Then he encounters a blue fire-bellied toad. Its poison has anesthetic properties, so he keeps it for research. Soon after, he finds a giant whitewood centipede as large as a serpent. Its venom is strong enough to kill an ORC with one bite.
TJ absorbs it and finds the poison refreshing.
Then he notices a white mark hidden in the bushes.
The forest grows quiet in that instant.
The small poisons he collected on the way were useful,
but the true target finally reveals itself. The giant moon bear is not only an ingredient source.
It is a test of whether
Cho can cross the next wall. Every major step in his growth has come from pressure.
The cliff forced him to awaken. By the elite ORC taught him humility. The young HAK showed him the danger of masters. Now the giant moon bear becomes the wall
that forces him into the fifth star. The giant moon bear appears.
The beast roars and charges.
Tae-ju throws his flying daggers, but the bear deflects them easily.
For a creature that large,
its speed is incredible. Tae-ju moves behind it and attacks again. But the bear flexes its back muscles and forces the knives out.
He strikes it with blood seal poison palm. The bear does not care. That reaction tells Tae-ju everything against weaker enemies.
Blood seal poison palm is a finishing move against this beast.
It is barely enough to earn its attention.
The gap forces him to abandon the idea of winning with his current level. Its claws tear through trees like paper. Tae-ju tries another technique, but nothing works. The bear's body is too tough, and at the fourth star Tae-ju lacks the power to finish it.
So he makes a dangerous decision. He needs to reach the 5th star.
During the fight,
He takes out the blue fire-belly toad and eats it. Then he consumes the centipede venom.
poison floods his body. The timing is reckless. Normally, cultivation requires calm control and careful digestion of toxins. Tiju is attempting advancement while facing a monster that can tear him apart with one clean hit.
It is dangerous.
But danger has always been the price of his fastest growth. Tiju immediately begins converting it into poison essence. The process is fast, violent, and risky. But he has no time to be careful.
The bear is still attacking.
And if he fails, he dies.
Then the circulation completes.
Kim Tiju reaches the 5th star. The battle changes completely. At the 5th star, he can use one of the Poison Clan's hidden arts. This is the kind of technique that separates a true poison
Martial artist from someone who only throws weapons.
Hidden weapons normally travel in straight lines.
Once released, Blood Butterflies changes that rule, allowing Tiju to guide the attack as if the projectiles are alive. This finally solves one of his biggest weaknesses.
Against durable or fast enemies,
Straight throws can be blocked.
dodged or deflected,
Controlled projectiles let him attack blind spots
curve around defenses,
and strike vital points that brute force cannot reach.
blood butterflies. Metal insects rush forward under his control.
Unlike ordinary hidden weapons,
These projectiles can change direction mid-air. They twist around the bear's defenses and strike precisely where Tiju aims.
one hits the eye.
Another tears through the left ear. The giant moon bear collapses. Tiju has defeated his target
And advanced his martial art at the same time.
with the fight over, he reaches deep into the monster's body and extracts the gallbladder.
The organ is filled with powerful poison.
So he coats it in internal energy to preserve it properly.
Now with the ingredient he needs in hand,
Kim Tiju is ready to prepare his next elixir. The victory gives him more than a rare material. It proves that he can keep evolving through Earth's poisons and magical beasts. Every new toxin becomes a stepping stone. Every monster becomes a resource. And every enemy who believes he is powerless
gives him another chance to prove them wrong.
And for the people who still think he is only a monolith reject,
The real nightmare has barely begun.
because Teacher's greatest advantage is that his enemies keep judging him by the wrong standard.
They search for mana ranks and awakening marks.
They do not understand Kai. They do not understand poison essence. And by the time they learn, Tiju is usually already close enough to strike.
Looking at everything that has happened,
Tiger's transformation is no longer just about revenge. At first, he only wanted to survive the people who tried to kill him.
then he needed money, then he needed secrecy. Then he needed allies, a business.
Protection and medicine strong enough to influence an entire city. Each step forced him into a wider world. The soldiers thought a mana reject could be erased. The hunters thought a porter could be sacrificed. The pharmacies thought a newcomer could be pressured. The criminals thought poison could control him. And the masters thought an unmarked man could not threaten them. Every one of them misunderstood the same thing.
Kim Tiju does not use mana.
He uses poison. He uses Kai,
He uses the knowledge of a man
who once stood at the top of another world. And now that he has reached the 5th star, the path ahead is only becoming more dangerous. The stronger his medicines become, the more powerful his enemies will be. The more money Hongbao earns, the more factions will try to control it. And the closer Tiju gets to the peak of the supreme poison demon's art, the less this world will be able to treat him as the powerless son who was thrown away for now. He has the giant moon bear's gallbladder. He has new poison essence flowing through his body. He has a company beginning to rise in the free city.
and somewhere out there his family.
The committee, the military, and the hidden powers of the empire are all starting to realize that the boy they ignored
Did not disappear.
he came back stronger. And this time, he is not asking anyone for permission to live.